Hello, everybody, and once again, welcome to the Church Bros Podcast with me, your host Alex, and my fiery co-host Brandon.
Oh my goodness!
You know I had to do it, man.
Yep, you had to. Distraction,
Oh my!
disgrace.
Oh man! All right, so people who don't know that, I showed Brandon this song a while ago from my childhood. I was just like, oh my goodness. This song matches Brandon so well. I was like, this is how the church currently feels about you, bro. And I just sent it to him. And I was like, tell me what you think. So, for those, I'm not going to spoil the song. For those of you who don't know it or do know it, it's Lion King 2. The song is Not One of Us. Just look it up. It's hilarious. On a side note, the classic spiel that I'm supposed to do. Brandon's shaking his head at me. But yes, the classic spiel is follow us at all the places, like, subscribe, comment, it helps us out. And I'll eventually get a camera. And eventually do all the other things I said I was going to do.
Oh man.
But they will happen eventually. And that concludes the classic spiel.
He changed it up this time. Oh man.
So yeah, today we are doing once again a filler, quote unquote, filler episode. It's not really a filler episode, but it's not on the topic of the fruits of the spirit and spiritual things that we are the main covering thing that we're trying to do. And by the way, I have a little sniffles, I guess. So if you can hear me sniffle a little bit, then that's what it is. So, today's topic is friendship. And the reason we pretty much chose the topic of friendship today is a lot of people don't know or don't understand what true friendship is or what friendship is, what a good friendship is, I guess. What a valuable friendship is, what a biblical friendship is. And so, hey, why not cover it?
Yeah.
It's a very helpful thing to have a good friend, a very helpful thing to have someone who's looking out for you in the many facets of life. Mm-hmm. Or someone to just, throw your ideas against, thoughts against. But yeah, without further ado, I'll let Brandon start us off.
All right. So the first scripture we have today is going to be 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 through 3. Actually, I'll just go ahead and read through verse 5 because it's, dealing with the subject. Be reading from the ESV. This is a passage of scripture talking about David and Jonathan's friendship. And it reads like this. As soon as he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was on him and gave it to David, and his armor, and even his sword, and his bow, and his belt. And David went out and was successful wherever Saul sent him, so that Saul set him over the men of war. And this was good in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants.
So, I guess in this case we have Jonathan, a true friend. He's like, you going out on the battlefield, man, let me hook you up with all the stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what he did, took his own armor and gave it to him. He was like, hey, I can't leave you high and dry.
Yeah. Can't let you fall on the sword, man. No armor, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's like, but yeah, that's a friend right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just looking out for his good friend, looking out for his brother.
Yeah, and I think this too really, I think this part got me a little bit when Jonathan, loves David as his own soul. Like that, I think is a level of friendship that you don't really hear spoken of?
I mean, so remember what I used to say, which is also one of my catchphrases. Hopefully, Brandon doesn't steal this one. So basically, my catchphrase or this phrase I always use or used to use was a true friend is willing to take a bullet for you or a stab wound for you, right? They're willing to, you know, take a shot, take a stab, of, willing to defend you. So in this case, it's like just how you would defend yourself. A true friend, that's how they will defend you.
Mm-hmm.
Same things applies, right? Just how you would go to battle for your brothers or sisters who are blood. You should also go to battle for your brother or sister who's a true friend.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And I think I think people, how they use love as kind of a general thing. I think they use friend as can fall in that same category. Like everybody, just like Facebook, for example, right? You have friends, quote unquote, on Facebook, but the chances are that you have a relationship, let alone an acquaintance with all those people, is slim to none, right? A lot of times people are friends with people because they have mutual friends with that person they're actually a friend with. So,
I mean, I think, well, my scale of friendship, there's like 5 different levels of friendship, quote unquote.
Oh my goodness.
There's the acquaintance. There's the associate. There's the friend. There's the best friend. And then there's the true friend. Quote unquote. Because there is a difference between the best friend and the true friend. Because they sound the same, but they're not. So like a best friend is like maybe someone who you're hanging out all the time, you're doing all the stuff together, all that kind of stuff. You talk to them all the time, blah, blah, blah. But they're not willing to take that stab wound for you.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like they're doing everything except for that last step.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think I would, like when I look at friends, I guess I just kind of loop them all in the same category where it's like, okay, people I talk to and people who know me, right? Now, I guess I'm not saying that person has to be willing to take a bullet for me or to die for me per se.
I mean, that could just be a best friend. There's nothing wrong with having a best friend.
That's the thing. I don't even know, like,
or just a regular friend.
I don't have categories like that. You know what I mean? Like I have. Well, I guess there's some people who I talk to more, right? People who maybe take up more of my time, or I'm willing to give my time to. But I think too, we got to be careful who we consider our friends. You know what I mean? Like if someone's not investing,
and this is why I kind of categorize it, because this is categorizing it and makes you understand the quote unquote relationship, right? And I'm not saying people have to do this. This is just how I do it. Right? This is just my thought process. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, go do your thing.
Right.
But this is why I categorize it. Is because putting people in categories, quote unquote, helps you understand how you treat them, or helps you understand how they treat you. Right? I'm not saying, sure, you should treat everyone the same in the sense of you shouldn't have any evil thoughts about them or evil aspirations against them. But let's be honest here. You're not going to be friends with everybody. You're not going to be You're not going to be best friends with everybody. You're not going to be associates with everybody. You're not going to be acquaintances with everybody. It's impossible. So in that sense, it's like you might know 100 people. You might know 1,000 people. Maybe only 10 of them are your real friends. And maybe only out of those 10, maybe only 5 of them are really a best friend. And maybe out of those 5, maybe only 1 of them is a true friend.
No, okay. That makes sense.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, that doesn't diminish their relationship with you. It just means that they're just not what they're not. They're just not what they are. So it's just like, you can't make someone something that they're not. So it's just like, that's why you're not going to get hurt by your best friend, you're not going to be hurt by a friend acting like a true friend. You're not going to get hurt by an acquaintance not acting like a best friend. because it's like they're just an acquaintance. They're just someone you know. That doesn't mean that they have to go out their way to do something for you, right? So just like if you understand that, then your expectation is not that they're going to do or say or act a certain way towards you.
Okay. It's a good way to set boundaries too. I think, yeah, like Alex was saying, like, um, you know, I think just for me personally, like, um, if I call Alex with an emergency, which, rarely happens, but if it does, then I know there's a 83% chance that he'll respond to it and, see what he can do to help. Right. Now, again, I think that's also understanding that a friend is not always going to be there for you every time you need them. Even the closest of friends, right?
Yeah.
You can't, because they have lives too and they have other friends. And so I think that's why sometimes you see a lot of, kind of competitions between people who you have mutual friends with. They're like, well, no, that's my best friend. And then you're like, no, that's my best friend. And you're two fighting over the same person. And it's like, well,
Well,
hey.
only they know. Only the person you're quote unquote fighting over. Only they know how they quantify their relationships.
But then everybody wants to be friendly, or they nobody wants to be that person who isn't considered a friend to someone else. So that's where again I
Well,
think.
I think this. Well, I'll let you finish your point, then I'll go ahead. Go ahead.
But I think like that's why I think the boundaries have to be precise, right? Like I wouldn't call you to help me with something that maybe my dad would help me with. You know what I mean? So it's a like you said, that expectation where okay, I'm not expecting you to get up out of your bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to help me out. Right? That's a wife or a father or a brother type thing. You know what I mean? And so I think once we have that expectation, just from our point of view, that hey, I'm not in order to be my friend, I'm not expecting you to do this, right? But again, just me and Alex, for example, right? Just he goes to my phone log. A vast majority of the calls are to him, right? And the again, we never. I mean, unless I call while he's busy, there's never a time where our conversations are like under an hour, right? It's usually 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. So that's kind of the norm, right? Now, if that were to change for whatever reason, if you get to him significant other, right?
Oh my goodness. This again.
but if that were to change, then I wouldn't look at him any different. I would just say, okay, well, he has other responsibilities, other things he's trying to do, right? You have a life of your own as well, right? So I'm not. I think sometimes
I think
they don't have that category where, like, my wife, okay, there are things that I expect her to do that she does that I'm not expecting anybody else to do, right?
I think there's also another layer to this, which is the fact that you can't expect, or not just expect. Time does not dictate relationship. What I mean by that is just because someone doesn't always or isn't always there or is not always there to be with you or whatever it is, right? Always there to hang out, always there to whatever, doesn't mean that the value of the relationship diminishes or the value of the friendship diminishes.
Right.
I think really it's history and sincerity. If the history is good enough and the history is sincere enough, and that sincerity continues, then I think that is the quality of a long-lasting friendship.
Right.
A long-lasting friendship is not based on time spent or time continuously spent. It's based on the quality of spent time. It's 1 minute of sincerity is better than 10 minutes of emptiness.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't value quality. They want to value. Typically, they value, you know, an extensive period or an extensive degree, not necessarily the quality of the time spent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a mistake. Just because someone doesn't spend time with you all the time, whether that's a parent, a sibling, a friend, whoever it is, a boyfriend, whoever it is, that doesn't mean that the sincerity towards you is not genuine.
Yeah. I want to hit this too. This next verse. Proverbs. Yeah, I know Proverbs, man, cuts us up. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 6. Says this: Faithful are the wounds of a friend, profuse are the kisses of an enemy. Mm, that one cut deep. What do you think about that one?
Read it again.
Faithful are the wounds of a friend, profuse are the kisses of an enemy.
See, I'm taking this two different ways. So one way, was a profound or the wounds of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be taken two ways. So that either the wounds the friend is being afflicted with defending you, or the wounds the friend is afflicting upon you
Mm-hmm.
because they're looking out for your best interest and they're trying to stop you from doing something stupid. So like I could criticize you and say, hey, look, that's stupid, bruh. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's a detriment to your life right there. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a wound, but it's a constructive wound.
Mm-hmm.
But someone who's quote unquote kisses your cheek in a metaphorical way, encouraging you, say, hey, like you come up with that stupid idea, like, hey, let me drive my ATV across this 300-foot chasm, and I'll make it to the other side and open up a parachute. And you're like, and the guy's like, yeah, man, go do that. That's wonderful. And it's just like you go do it and end up dead. So it's just like, was he really looking out for you? No, he was just kissing your cheek, quote unquote, and whispering great things into your ear for either your detriment or for his benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Either one. So I feel like a lot of people think encouragement and a smile on your face is always the sign that that person is looking out for your best interest, and that could be further from the truth.
I would actually take this steps further, and I think this is, I think, a picture of what a pastor does, right? So pastors obviously, tell you the truth. Now, with them telling you the truth, they are maybe not going to, they're going to hurt your feelings. Maybe they may hurt your ego, but profuse, in other words, multiple, are the kisses of an enemy, right? So a lot of times with true shepherds, right, they are telling you the truth in um, in the name of love, but they may offend you, right? Not intentionally, not maliciously, but that's what the truth does. But then I would say those people who only tell you what you want to hear, those people really are your enemies because they're not willing to tell you the truth because they rather value, you know, amicability or,
I mean, I forget the scripture in the Bible, but it goes something along the lines of if someone's not willing to tell you the truth, they hate you,
yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
to not be given the privilege and the greatness of truth that is to hate somebody.
Right.
That was an indirect quote. I'm not directly quoting it. So
Yeah. Okay.
um, and since we're in Proverbs, go to Proverbs 18:24.
All right. Proverbs 18:20. Yep. All right. Have it. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Wow. Yep. I've heard that verse before.
Yeah, it's actually one of the few ones that's repeated in church every once in a while, but it's never really
Yeah.
expanded upon.
What do you think it means?
Read one more time.
Um, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother.
I mean, this reminds me of like the posses, like of people who are just around you for the benefit that you bring them. So a man of many associates, a man of many, you know, leeches, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
a man of many followers. That doesn't necessarily mean they're any good.
Yeah.
Um, but the person who is sticking with you, the closest, the best, always looking out for you, and that's the true friend.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's not dictated by the quantity of people; it's dictated by the quality of people.
Right.
That's basically what that verse is saying.
Okay. Well, we'll stay in Proverbs and go to Proverbs 17:17. This is a classic one. You see, you read it here in the ESV. It says this: a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So here, it's a different word in the Hebrew, right? So, ahab is the word for, friend in Proverbs 18:24. But the word reah is the word that's used in Proverbs 17:17, which means a friend is described as a neighbor, a companion, and a associate. Okay. Um, so yeah, I think I just want to read this really short commentary on it. Proverbs 17:17 by Mr. Barnes commentary. Um, and it reads like this. Some take the proverb to describe, as in Proverbs 18:24, that the friend that sticketh closer than a brother, and render um, at all times a friend loveth, but in adversity he is born, i.e., becomes a brother. So I think there's almost like a distinction here, right? Where it's saying a friend loves at all times, but a brother is, you know, born in adversity, right?
I mean,
So it's almost like a friend should be closer to you than a brother, perhaps.
no, a brother is closer to you than a friend. So, or yeah, because like I said, you could be a friends with somebody,
Hmm.
and all throughout the good times, whatever it is.
Right.
But a brother, so that friend turns into a brother if he stays with you through adversity.
Hmm.
So a good way to put it is like the classic way to put it is like the band of brothers when associated with the military,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of the times, it's the brotherhood of the combined suffering of arduous um, task, arduous tribulations, and that creates a brotherhood through those experiences. And I'm not in the military, but or ever was in the military, but that's an obvious thing that people recognize.
Let me read this. It's a pulpit commentary. It says this. Some find a climax in the two clauses and translate the last as revised version margin, and is born as a brother for adversity. The same person being meant in both members of the sentence. A real friend loves his friend in prosperity and adversity.
Yes, yeah.
He is more than a friend in time of need. He is a brother, as affectionate and as trusty as one connected by the closet ties of relationship. Siracides gives a very cruel version of this proverb. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, but in his adversity, even a friend will depart. Cicero had a truer notion of the stability of friendship when he quoted Aeneas' dictum, amicus certus in Ray. Yeah, this is Latin. My goodness. I don't study Latin. Sorry, but yeah, that was interesting. What he
Let me
wrote
see.
there.
What does it say? Let me look at it. I'm pretty good at pronunciation
Oh,
sometimes.
you are? Oh, okay.
It
All
depends.
right.
Depends.
Okay.
Which part is it at?
I think it's like that middle bottom part.
Oh, like the crisis test of a friend. That part, or
Yeah, that part. Yeah. After the English.
I see Septuagint is the way I would describe that word.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's the best way I would describe that.
Okay. So I guess yeah, that would at least that commentary would agree with your analysis of the verse.
Well, it's always great to have godly wisdom.
This is true. Okay.
Well, speaking of which, in so ardent is the description of the scriptures I'm about to read, which is Second Chronicles 2:12. It says, "When I came to Troas to preach the gospel of Christ, even though a door was opened for me in the Lord, my spirit was not at rest because I did not find my brother Titus there. So I took leave of them and went to Macedonia."
Hmm.
Now, let me see if I can remember the definition of the word ardent. Let me just look it up, actually.
That's a word you don't hear very often.
Yeah, that's why I'm struggling to remember what it means. I think it means noble, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It's enthusiastic or passionate.
Okay.
Fervent, fierce, fiery, so on. So yeah, any words on that?
What was that verse again?
Second Chronicles 2:12-13.
Yeah, I like that. And I like the word ardent again. Um, really speaks to a passionate type of zealous,
Mm-hmm.
affection, which I think that, I mean, when you're describing friends today, I think that that's a quality that's lacking. But obviously, based on your list you wouldn't expect that of an associate or an acquaintance
No,
or,
even a regular friend.
right, yeah. But yeah, passionate, I think that's reserved for like the
That's the best friend and the true friend.
true, yeah, definitely. Wow. And that I think that would lead to people, you have a passionate, zealous love like that, then I would say that's a love that Christ has, right? And he's
There
willing to
you
die
go.
for us. So, wow. Yeah, I don't know if I can say I have many people like that are like, I think, I gotta be careful with this, but I think so when stuff gets difficult, right? So like when I get myself in trouble, which pretty regular here,
Mm-hmm.
sip it. I think then people start to see what's going on and back up. You know what I mean? But then I would look at that verse and say, well, no, you got to be argent, right? You got to be, zealous. But I think even with zealousness, there comes with, common sense too. You know what I mean? Wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Wisdom,
mean?
right?
So it's like, okay, yeah, if you're doing the right thing and if it's in God's will, then sure, I'll be willing to run through a big wall for you. But if you're just causing trouble, then
I can't be behind that.
you're on your own,
Right.
right? So, yeah.
I mean, but there's also just like how Christ chases the sheep. A true friend will chase his brother down to try to steer him in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a few of those. Wow. See, this is the thing, man. Like, I had no idea. This always happens, like, especially when we talk about something that's, not fruit of spirit or whatever. It's just like I get cooked every single time. It's just like, man,
I love it.
but I mean, it's true. I mean, it's and I think that's the disservice people do to themselves, right? It's just like, okay, you drive down a thorny, road, and you expect people to follow you down that path,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like,
no.
Well, I thought you were my friend, and it's just like, well, yeah, but I don't mean I have to die with you.
Yeah, exactly.
We both can't drive down this, you know what I mean? Like, do something crazy. But that's the thing, and that's why you look at like some of these videos on Instagram where a girl is arguing with another female, and then her friends are jumping in and they're pounding this other girl and fighting and whatever, and it's just like, man, both of you are going to jail, and it's like,
yeah, instead of instilling wisdom into the situation, you
right,
instill more chaos into the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like sometimes a friend is not there to just back you up in any circumstance. They're there to hopefully steer you in the correct direction, to not have a need to back you up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the ardent friendship. And then we have the treacherous friendship, which is Matthew 26:48-50.
Matthew 26. All right. Yeah, hold on. Let me type in Matthew 26. Matthew 26, 48-50. All right. I like this. Okay. All right. So 48 reads like this. Hold on. Okay. Verse 48. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, the one I will kiss the one I will kiss is the man. Seize him. And he came up to Jesus at once and said, Greetings, Rabbi. And he kissed him. Jesus said to him, Friend, do what you came to do. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Then they came up and laid hands on Jesus and seized him.
Oh, yeah, that is.
Yeah, you missed that last part.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was just like, wow. Because I know other translations say, do what you do and do it quickly or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one says, friend, do what you came to do.
Wow. That is. Oof. I don't know where to go with
the
that.
The treacherous friend. I mean, that's what it is. The treacherous friend.
So, wow. So I would say this is the backstabber. This is the
one who said they were your friend, who said they're looking out for you, but at the end of the day,
betrayed you.
They betray you.
Wow. But I think this would to go back to what is it? Proverbs.
The 27.
No.
Oh, the 17.
Yeah, I think that would go back to. I think it might be that one where was a profuse are the kisses from an enemy.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just like,
I mean, he kisses him here.
Yeah, literally. Wow. That's.
Wow. He really kisses his cheek, I think.
And even the word in the Greek that they use, right? Heteros. That even means a companion, associate, fellow comrade, and a friend. So it's just like, even people who are within your circle is capable of doing this. And that's why I think, like, wow, that's really profound what you said earlier, like the categories of friendships. Because, I hate this, man. This is like,
this is why I do it.
Oh, man. AI Alex strikes again. So, wow. So this, but see, Judas wasn't even I wouldn't even say he was a true friend.
No, he was never a true friend. See, this is the thing. Yeah, he was never a true friend. He was, if I had to put him in a category,
associate.
I would say he was a friend. He was never a best friend or a true friend. He was a friend.
Wow. Okay. So you could trust him to a certain degree.
Right.
But not to
the epitome of degrees.
Woo. Wow. This is breathtaking, man. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I mean that's why I think we have to be careful who we call our friends, um, and what level friendship we have with them, right? Again, I wouldn't expect an acquaintance to. I mean,
I mean,
this
you
guy
could
turns
kind of
this
expect,
in.
yeah, you could kind of expect the acquaintance to betray you.
Well, yeah.
I mean, or even associate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Acquaintance associates, you don't trust them enough to say that they won't betray you.
Uh-huh.
A friend that's the area where I'd say it's like a toss. Yeah, it's a toss up. Mm-hmm. It's 50-50. So you're not necessarily expecting them to betray you, but you necessarily aren't not expecting them to betray you. Mm. And then the best friend, that's the last. You're not expecting them to betray you. That's a 90% chance that they won't. But then the true friend, there's 0% chance they're going to betray you. Pretty much. Mm. Maybe 1%. I'll put in the 1%.
Mm. Wow. That is, oh my goodness. Okay. Wow.
I mean, I don't think there's a lot left to say about that. Yeah, there is. I guess I'll put it this way. Friends, quote unquote friends, who give you bad advice and disguise it as good advice. Mm-hmm. Those are, I would kind of almost associate them with this. I would associate them with the one who kisses you in the front and then stabs you in the back, or the one who's kissing you with platitudes, but they're really not looking for your best interest. Mm-hmm. So, or saying something like this: "Yeah, I sabotaged your relationship because I was looking out for you, girl," or something along those lines, like something crazy like that, mm-hmm. Or something like, "Yeah, I gave you bad advice, so you will end up with the bad or in your relationship because he wasn't good for you anyway," or like some other crazy stuff like that, mm-hmm. Or even dudes who was still his best friend's girl, or so on and so forth, right? These kind of things, like those aren't real friends. Mm-hmm. Like these are people who are just using you for their own benefit, or using you to or even better, right? They want to control you. Mm-hmm. They want to control how the friendship operates. They want to control what they can gain from you, and not and a lot of the time they want you to stay where you are. Mm-hmm. Because if you evolve, that means that there's something wrong with them because they don't want to improve or evolve. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's the classic crabs in the bucket situation, or where you're pulling down the people around you, mm-hmm. so they stay on your level, so you feel good about yourself. Misery loves company is that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's all those things are associated with who you hang around or who you consider your friend. So it's like, that's why this is another layer of why you should be careful about who you consider a friend. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Wow. All right, well, you're going to love this one. We're going to go all the way to the Epistle of James for this one.
I love James.
James chapter 4. So the verse is, let's see.
Oh, hold on. Actually, before we get to that one, because I think it's 4:4, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We'll go to that later.
Okay.
We'll get to that last. Semi-last. Semi-last. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13:6-9 first.
Oh my. Going back to the law. You said?
Deuteronomy 13:6-9.
All right. And it reads like this. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son or your daughter, or the wife you embrace, or your friend who is as your own soul entices you secretly, saying, "Let us go and serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known," some of the gods of the peoples who are around you, whether near you or far off from you, from the one end of the earth to the other, you shall not yield to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him, nor shall you conceal him, but you shall kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people.
So you want to guess what category of friend this is?
This is no friend at all.
This is the dangerous friend.
Ooh, wow. Wow, I didn't. Man, it keeps getting worse, man. This. So this is someone who not just betrays you, that somebody who leads you.
Leads you astray.
Oh wow. Yeah,
So they
yeah.
not only do they want to. So not only do they betray you, they want to take you down with them.
Mm, wow.
Yep.
That's scary. Wow. I didn't even realize that. So this, but the fact that they're still called a friend is concerning all by itself, because it's like, okay, what friend would want you to be led astray?
I mean, this is just what I was just talking about, the whole crab in the bucket thing.
Oh man. Wow. Yeah. Mm,
Brandon over deeply disturbed.
wow. This is bad.
Let's continue, sir. And go on. I kind of want you to guess what this one is after you read it. So Job 19, 14 through 19.
Is that Job 19?
Mm-hmm. 14 to 19. I feel like you should know this already, but we'll see.
Oh man. I feel a roast coming on.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
It's not that kind. But go ahead.
Oh my goodness. John 19:14. My relatives have failed me. My close friends have forgotten me. The guests in my house and my maidservants count me as a stranger. I have become a foreigner in their eyes. I call to my servant, but he gives me no answer. I must plead with him with my mouth for mercy. My breath is strange to my wife, and I am a stench to the children of my own mother. Even young children despise me. When I rise, they talk against me. All my intimate friends abhor me, and those whom I love have turned against me. This, yeah, you're right. I do remember this. So this is a part of Job is really reflecting on, Job used to be very rich and powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and while he's going through this, thing, this experiment, right? Call it that. He's realizing that his family, his servants, his friends, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
right now he's laying in sackcloth and ashes, and he's sick, and he's got boils all over the place, and now they want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, so what is that?
I would say that's a traitor friend right there.
An unfaithful friend.
Ooh, unfaithful. Wow. Yep. Man, this is good. So, mm, I would. Wow. I think so. I would put. Wow. Yeah, I gotta be careful with this. So I think so. Okay. So friends who just like you or they're around you when you're successful,
Uh-huh.
right? Um. So say if you that'd be like if you win the lottery, and that's why I think when you win the lottery, that's when you know who your true friends are, right? And so when you win the lottery, everybody's want to try to be your friend, right? Everybody wants to be around you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to get a little money, a little car, a little house, whatever, right?
So
But as soon as that money goes away, or as soon as you say no, or something happens to you and you lose all that money, that'd be a miracle, by the way. But but if that were to happen, then they'd ban you. They'd be like, oh well, Alex is a bum. He's back to being bum status. So let's go hang out with. And typically, yeah, I gotta be careful with this. Typically, I see this with like what do they call them, gold diggers, right?
mm-hmm.
To a certain degree, where some women and some men do this too. But
Well, I'll say to keep this fair, I'll
mhm.
say men do it with status.
Yeah,
But women
yeah,
also do it with status as well.
yeah.
That's the dichotomy. It's just they do it in different
Mm,
ways. So what men do in terms of status is they want to be around the man of status to learn from him or to glean and gain from his status. And then the opposite of that, or the other side of that, is a woman who's trying to then marry into that status or benefit from that status from a female lane.
yeah. Wow. And I think with that, I mean that's wow. I thought the treacherous fin was bad, but unfaithful. Like, but again, I think we could look at this in our own lives and say, okay, well, how in what ways are we unfaithful to Christ? You know what I mean? Like, obviously Christ abounds with many riches and glory, not materially, but spiritually and heavenly, right? Um, but I think when Jesus, you know, um, took on human flesh, right, and he lived among the earth, I think then people, I mean, some people, gravitated to Christ. That almost kind of reminds me of John 6, where the people, they're only there because Jesus was performing miracles, right? Jesus already fed them,
Exactly.
and so once Jesus now starts, putting the miracles aside and
It's
preaching the truth, then they're like they left him.
yeah, it's typically associated with people who people who are only associated with you in friendship with you because of what you have.
Success,
Your
yeah.
success, your charisma, your status, how people view you. This is the celebrity effect, right?
Right.
That kind of thing. So it's just like they only like you and associate with you because of what you have accomplished or what you have, not because of who you are.
Wow. And this is why I think it's really a beautiful thing when you can be with a partner or with a spouse, right? Who you both have struggled, right? Or not struggling like that, but you're not
I
wealthy.
mean,
You know what I mean? Like,
let me put it this way. Like, of course, I'm not married or anything, but your spouse,
not yet, anyway.
your spouse, your husband or wife, they are supposed to be that true friend.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, that is the capacity of that relationship. That's what that relationship is supposed to be. If your spouse is not your true friend, then yeah, I'll let you think about that. So,
dun dun dun.
But yeah, that's where that should be at.
Mm. Like, I almost kind of feel like if you're married and you had nothing when you got together and you still have nothing, like if you were to make it splash one day and you get a big, increase in your bank account, then that shouldn't change
The status of the relationship.
right.
This is
Or
what
change them.
yeah, this is going back to the beginning of this whole conversation when I was talking about time spent versus quality time. It goes back to that. So like that quantity or the quality of it shouldn't change the status of the relationship. You ready for the next one?
Oh man. Yeah.
All right. 2 Samuel 16 through 23.
16 through 23. All right. And when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, came to Absalom, Hushai said to Absalom, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" And Absalom said to Hushai, "Is this your loyalty to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend?" And Hushai said to Absalom, "No, from whom Yahweh and this people and all the men of Israel have chosen, his I will be, and with him I will remain. And again, whom should I serve? Should it not be his son? As I have served your father, so I will serve you." And then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give your counsel. What shall we do?" Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Go in to your father's concubines, whom he has left to keep the house, and all Israel will hear that you have made yourself a stench to your father. and the hands of all who are with you will be strengthened. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. Now, in those days, the counsel that Ahithophel gave was as if one consulted the word of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel esteemed both by David and by Absalom.
So, I think a lot of people know this story. If they don't,
Oh, yes.
you need to go read it.
You're missing out.
Yeah. We all know how that story ends.
Yep.
So, what kind of friend is this?
So, would it be talking about Absalom or?
It will definitely be talking about Ahithophel, I think. Because he was the advisor of both David and Absalom. Absalom is the traitor son of David.
Yep, that's true. Yep. Wow.
The son trying to murder his father. But,
yeah,
it's not talking about Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not talking about
so pitiful. Wow.
Mm-hmm. It could be. Well, to a certain degree, it could be talking about Absalom, but I don't think so.
I think he would fit the definition of a true friend, maybe.
No, sir.
No?
No.
Oh, man.
It is the false friend.
Oh, right. Well, false friend to who? Absalom or David?
To David.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he betrays David for Absalom.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah, because they did want Absalom to be king versus. Okay. Wow. I didn't know it got worse. Woo! Oh, man. See, this is. Wow. It's getting worse. Like, I feel like progressively. Okay, yeah, this is a father and son. Right?
So it's a double whammy. So it's first it's Absalom against David, his father. Then it's also the chief advisor of David going against him for his son.
Wow. This is nonsense, dude. Oh my goodness. So, but, so would you say this is a person who's trying to, I wouldn't say play both sides?
No, because basically he betrays David for Absalom because I think the story goes, he feels unvalued by David, right? David has not listened to his advice.
Oh my goodness.
He has forsaken his wise counsel. So he goes to Absalom and basically tries to give counsel to Absalom to replace David. So that's why I said, in a certain sense, you could say that the false friend is potentially Absalom because Absalom also doesn't listen to his advice. And also forsakes his advice.
Wow, this is just a nonsense burger right here.
It is. Wow. So, for me, I'll say the whole situation is false. So it's like from David to Ahithophel to Absalom to Ahithophel to Absalom to David. It's a nonsense sandwich, and it's false all the way around.
Wow. And here I'm looking up here. It says Ahithophel, brother of Insipidity.
I think he's
insipidity or impiety, a man greatly renowned for his sagacity among the Jews.
I feel like I'm remember this correctly or not, but I'm pretty sure he might be Bathsheba's like father or father-in-law or something like that.
Oh boy!
I have to go confirm that, but I'm pretty sure somewhere in this mix, Bathsheba is involved.
So, yeah, it says at the time of Absalom's revolt, which that's the phase we're in. He deserted David and espoused the cause of Absalom um, in 2 Samuel 15. David sent his old friend, Hushai, back to Absalom in order that he might counteract the counsel of Ahithophel. This end was so far gained that Ahithophel saw he had no longer any influence, and accordingly he at once left the camp of Absalom and returned to Gilo, his native place, where, after arranging his worldly affairs, he hanged himself.
There you go.
And was buried in the sepulchre or sculpture, excuse me, of his fathers. He was the type of Judas.
The false crown.
Wow. And then so he did exactly what Judas did.
Basically.
And I said, this guy was a true friend, man.
I was like, no.
I need to repent for that. My goodness. Oh, wow.
I was like, no.
Oh, well, I was, man, I need to check and see what's in his cup, man. Wow. That's amazing how scripture kind of like pieces together, you know what I mean? Like, he became Judas before Judas was even existed. Wow. Does it get any worse, man? Do you got it?
Potentially.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh.
Depends on how you look at it. So, James 4:4, which you were about to read earlier.
Oh, okay. Yay! All right. James chapter 4. Oh, man. No, this is definitely worse because this leads to damnation. Anyway, so I'll start with verse 1. What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? You desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your own passions. You adulterous people, do you know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Yeah, this is way worse. This is, without a question.
Yeah, so what kind of friendship is this?
This is a deadly friendship, sir.
It is the worldly friendship.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was about to say, it's deadly as far as spiritual implications. Yeah. Oh, man, I couldn't wait for this one. So this here, I like this. So in verse, verse 4. So the word friendship, right? Philia, right, just means affection, fondness, love, right? So one who has this with the world is at enmity with God. But then when it says to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God, uses a different term, right? Philos, which means loved, dear, devotion, right? A word kind of associated with being courteous or appellation. My goodness. So, wow. Yeah, this. I didn't know it progressively gets worse in that book, man, over there. But I mean, yeah, this is.
And this is why I wanted this on the last, because I was like, okay. let's take it slow, Let's go down the ladder a little bit.
So this is a friendship with, I would say,
with the devil.
I mean, pretty much, and that has eternal consequences with it, right? Like, to think about this, now God is a friend to us as Christians, right? We're friends of God, but to be the opposite of that is scary. That's worse than, and I think that ultimately, like, we talk about, like, actual friends that you have, and then, God being against you, that's, I'm sorry, but I'd rather have no friends if it means that I'm at enmity with God. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, yes.
Wow. And if you go back down that list, it's like, first, if you're friends betray you, that's a no. If your friends then make you lead you astray, that's a no. If your friends betray you because you don't have riches and whatever, it just progressively.
Gets
I feel
worse.
like
Yeah.
the person who is a friend with the world has already done all this stuff already.
Or they have the proclivity to do all of them.
Wow. Yeah. Hmm. But I think in the culture we live in, it's almost.
I mean, I'm
It's
going to hurt
it's
some feelings here, but this is most people's friends.
I gotta leave now. Got a little hot in here, boy. Yes, sir.
I mean, it's true.
Man.
This is, unfortunately, some people's friends out there. A lot of people's friends out there. I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of people's friends out there. I'm not going to retract my statement. A lot of people's friends out there fall into that category.
Wow.
Or even if not that category, the further categories we've named before this.
I kind of feel like people now are like, no, your friends.
You need to go think about it.
But think of it though, like if your friends are okay with you, being led astray, or if they're okay with you, sacrificing yourself for them, but then them never reciprocating that. And if they're okay with you being at enmity with God, I mean, is that really a friend at all?
No.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, they're your enemy then. They're not your friend.
But that's the thing. I think, like you said, right? You hit it on nail on the head on that one, right? Most of our friends would pretty much do all this stuff. Well, we call them friends, right? We hang out with them, right? We go out to. I mean, again, most Christian.
I'm gonna have some more feelings.
Oh man,
go out to the club with them.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah,
go to the church with them.
Yeah,
go to many places with them.
Oof. Oh boy,
yes, sir.
Yeah. There's a specific person we wanted to listen to this episode, but yeah, we would have crushed him, Alex. Yeah. but here's the thing, though. Like,
there's several people I could think of who this applies to. I'm not going to specifically say it's for a specific person. This applies to a lot of people I know.
Shots have been fired, folks. Man. You guys thought I was bad, man. I'm like, AI Alex, man, at it again, man. Ripping for.
Hey, it's out of love.
I'm just trying to be friendly, But wow, so yeah, I would agree. Like but then it says a lot about you, right? The friends that you have, or that you claim that you have, right? That says a lot about you, right? So you only attract.
I mean, the famous saying, "You are who you hang around with."
Well, yeah, there you go. So if all your friends, or most of them, go to the club, and we all know the club is not a good place.
Oh, this is my famous quote. Oh, man. The club is the devil's church.
Oof, there it is.
It is basically the gathering of all the 7 deadly sins.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like there's no other way to put it. Yeah. You can find all the 7 deadly sins in the club. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like if all your and that says a lot about you. Like I feel like people would look at me differently if all my friends are club goers, or they are into all this craziness, right? And it's like, well, why do you have them as your friends? I'm like, well, some people just don't want to tell the truth. They don't want to hurt people's feelings, right? Like Alex just did. Yeah, but anyway, right? So I mean, hey, but that's where, again, that's, I think, the defining line when you look at someone who is a true friend versus would you say a real friend? Or
so there's the 5. I'll go through the 5 again. It's acquaintance, associate, friend, best friend, true friend.
There you go. Right. So that's, I think, the distinguishing line between a best friend and a true friend, right? So someone who tells you the truth, right? Someone who's not going to go along with nonsense either. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, hey, if and again, like, for the most part, most of my friends are, I don't know, either cops or military or people who read their Bibles, right? So that's kind of my friend list, right? I don't have now. I'm not saying that one or two of these people, excuse me, go to the club occasionally, but that's not the vast majority of my friends. That's like 2%. I can't control what everybody does, right? But at the same time, now if it was reversed and more of my friends went to the club, then it's like that's why too. Again, as a married guy, you know, I need to have people who are married as my friends because they understand. Okay,
Or at
we're
least
not going to go to the club.
Or at least people who value marriage, or people who have integrity associated with marriage.
You don't get that at the club. Sorry, guys, but nothing good happens there, right? Even did you see the thing about this supposedly Christian club?
Really?
Yeah, I saw this.
It's a new thing.
Yeah, it's new and nonsense, but basically, it's basically the same. You know, they serve alcohol, which I don't know how that's justified, but anyway, they serve alcohol.
I mean, they're basically treading the line. But go ahead.
No, but even the scripture says, right? You know, drunkenness, right? That's now okay. There's a line.
Like I said, the line is very narrow here. Yeah. So it's like if they're serving alcohol, but they're like, okay, you look more than tipsy. I'm not serving you a drink. Mm-hmm. But then it's like at the same time, you can't control people and what they do. So it's just like your bartender will have to be immaculate in skill to be able to tell if someone's tipsy or drunk, or the line between tipsy and drunk. You know what I mean? So it's just like the safe bet to be would just be not serve alcohol at all, because not all people are responsible for controlling themselves. Mm-hmm. But also, it's not a sin to drink, but it is a sin to be drunk. So, like I said, that's playing with the line, because it's like you're enabling the potential of drunkenness.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I just don't like the idea of throwing Christian on behind something that ain't Christian.
Yeah, like you said, it's like saying that the devil's church is Christian or something like that.
Yeah, or holy pornography. Like that's just like what is that?
What does that mean?
It doesn't exist, right? But so it's basically like same club setup, right? The booming lights, or not the lights, but the lights, disco stuff, smoke machine, the music,
the strobe lights.
But they're just but they're playing Christian rap supposedly. But they're still serving alcohol there. From what I saw, people are still dressing very similar to where they would go to
the regular club.
Actual club establishment, right?
So basically, the only difference
is the music.
Is the music.
But then the music, I mean, you know how Christian rap is, so it's not like it's like a worship song.
I mean,
it's kind of like a go-go style.
Let me put it this way, and not just that, but Christian rap is actually getting more and more dangerous as well. Yeah, it's also treading closer and closer to the line.
Exactly.
So it's just like, basically, this is not really. There's no difference, really.
But that's the thing that gets me. It's like, again, Bible says, "Stay away from the very appearance of evil."
There you go.
So, why are you trying to
emulate evil?
People want to go so that bad, where it's just like, okay, well, now you can't rip me for going to a club. It's a Christian club, and I'm like, but the only thing that's different is the music. But who's really paying attention to the lyrics of a song anyway, right? It's the beat they're dancing to. And if you're still serving alcohol there, now maybe you're limiting how much alcohol you sell, but
even like I said, it's a fine line.
Yeah, it's just like people are still dressing sort of kind of the same.
So, like once again, right?
So it's just like and even in a Christian club, quote unquote, I feel like would security be more laxed? I feel like potential for nonsense would be higher because now people.
I mean, why would security be more lax? Because they're quote unquote Christian.
Yeah, because I mean, here's the thing: you're not expecting someone to bring in something they ain't supposed to got. Supposed to have in there,
Brandon.
I'm just saying. But
I'm not buying it.
Why do people come to the church though?
I'm not buying it.
I'm just saying. If you're a criminal, if you're on demon time, right, and versus going to a regular club, you can go to a Christian club. That's easy pickings, right?
Yeah.
Because you are those people maybe aren't really street savvy enough, right? They're naive to
Well,
street
let's
culture.
be honest here, Brandon. Let's be really honest here.
The
same people who are going to the Christian club, they've already gone to the regular club. More likely than not.
Well, I don't know. I think
I'll say
I
that.
think
I'll say 40%, 50% at least have gone to the regular club.
Mm-hmm.
At least.
But I would say a bigger percentage probably hasn't. So they're like, Christian club, Christian. All right, let's go. Right. So they're not aware of the dangers that just in a regular club that are present there. Right. You got.
Or actually, let me put it this way: as ex-cop, let's list some of the things you saw at a club.
Oh gosh, nonsense. That's what I saw.
Top five. Let's say the top five.
Oh man. Like crimes,
nonsense, whatever.
Oh man. Shootings.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people with guns on them. Drugs. Rape. And that's perfect environment because it's dark. A lot of people. So, you're bumping into people and it's very easy for someone to, pickpocket you, steal your wallet or your phone. And particularly, this is the biggest one: underage people in clubs. You go to some clubs, the bouncers don't really check the IDs, or you do something you're supposed to do to get in for free, whatever else, right? So that happened. So a lot of people were underage, and so obviously, if you're underage,
you got no business being there in the first place.
You got no business being there, and if you're consuming. It doesn't take much alcohol to get somebody who's underweight, underage, intoxicated.
Inebriated.
Right, there you go. So that also leads to other stuff, right? So that's really what I saw the most.
All right, so those top 5.
Mm-hmm.
How often, let's say, would you get a call about one of those at a club?
Every weekend. Every time the club was open, right? Either one of the 5, right? Primarily, underage. That would be, that by far the top because, everybody wants to get in the club and be famous and whatever else. That was really the main thing we saw. Just people getting in the club that weren't old enough to consume alcohol. And my thing is, if you're not old enough to consume alcohol, you have no business being there in the first place. Right? Because what are you going to do? Drink water the whole time? Like, come on, be serious. So, yeah. But again, that just comes from, culture of, you want to be cool, right? You want to, be hip to the latest music and venues and whatever. So,
all right. So, one thing I might be hurting some feelings here. Potentially.
You might as well just do it, man. You already. Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. So, the classic, I just want to go to the club because I want to dance. I just want to dance. I just want to have fun.
Yeah, okay.
The weakest excuse I feel like in the world right there. Because it's like you can have fun and dance a myriad of multiple of other places.
Yeah.
Including your house. I mean, not that I get it. The house is not necessarily the funnest place to hang, but it's at the bottom of the list. But it's still one of the options.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many other places to go and do besides the club to do dancing and having fun.
I feel like that's an excuse. Like you don't need to go to the club to do that. But you got to think the club is filled with other people who want to do the same thing. Obviously, you can't fit 100 people in this house and dance to whatever else, rap music, whatever.
You could find 20, 30
and
have fun.
You're certainly not going to have enough drinks to, you know what I mean?
It's still probably cheaper than the club.
It would be, but
everyone bring their own drink.
But again, I feel like there's a very small percentage of people who would just go to the club to dance and have a good time. you can do that, like you said, in your house, right? You can have and some people do that.
I mean, all I'm saying is that's one of the classic reasons.
Oh yeah. Classic excuse, more like it.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing. That's just like, you know, yeah, that's nonsense. That's just like me going to the store, a grocery store in the mall where women are going to be at looking nice. So well, I just want to go get groceries. Really? Like, go to the strip mall where a little tiny grocery store is in. Like, you go anywhere else to get groceries, but you want to go there. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's a slippery slope because, again, when you look at just the idea of dancing and having a good time, you can do that at your house. You can go to a friend's house and do that to a certain degree. But
there's all, I mean, like, not just that. Like I said, that's the last example. There's other examples. Like, there's some restaurants that do dance nights after hours.
Bars. I feel like bars are. I would go to a bar because it's not as crowded, right? It's not as wonky and just all over the place. People aren't just you're not gonna find a whole bunch of people dancing in a bar unless they play music. But like a sports bar, I would do that. I mean, that's more control.
I mean, like I said, yeah, there's other places. Like I said, there's, especially in DC, there's various other venues that basically do the same thing without all the chaos.
Right. Yeah. Like, I go to Buffalo Wild Wings any day. Right. That's kind of zippy.
I mean, I don't think they're partying necessarily at Buffalo Wild Wings, but
I'm just saying, like, if it's, because some people desire that environment, right? So if it's the environment you desire.
So a question then, if this is the environment you desire, what's the seduction of the environment? Because that's what it is, it's seduction. So what is the appeal? What is the secret sauce that makes it so amazing?
Going to the club?
Yeah.
Oh, well, meeting people you haven't met before, right? They're all there, the same reason you're there. And if you're all drinking, again, some people just go to the club just to hook up.
I mean, of course. That's like number one on the list.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying, like, I
feel like that's the last place you should look, but
no, you got to think that's the first place.
I mean,
that they would go to.
Hold on. It's the first place they go to,
right?
But it should be the last place they go to.
It should be, but think of it though. You got to look at it from their perspective, right? What other place will you find everybody with the same agenda? Everybody's going to get inebriated at some point, so nobody's going to be using any clear judgment to do anything. So you get enough drinks in you, right? Then the later it gets into the evening, right? You may look at somebody who you normally, if you were sober, would pass. You look at them and be like, man, they look delicious. They look scrumptious, and head off to wherever and do stuff. So it's guaranteed that if you're halfway decent looking.
No, it's guaranteed for the ladies. And it's not necessarily guaranteed for the men.
I think it depends on. Well, I'm not telling myself now, but it depends on what club you go to. What city you go to, right? Because with the guys, if you look halfway decent, you got to be looking like $1 million. Or if you look put together, right, then sooner or later you're going to find someone who's.
I mean, yeah, that's the game of numbers.
Yeah.
Right, which is not a good idea, but yeah, sure. The game of numbers of if you go somewhere and do something enough times, eventually you're going to catch a fish. Yes,
right,
but it's still stupid. I'm just like, it's still stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, let me put it this way. In terms of, all right, let me separate this. In terms of strictly non-church based reasons, yes, that's the perfect hunting ground.
Non-church based reasons.
Yeah, I mean that's the perfect hunting ground. The best, like I said, the church, the Devil's Church, the best place to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
On a silver platter. Yes. But if we're trying to turn this into, what this, channel is about, or this, podcast is about, church reasons, then no, it's the worst place to be. For anything.
Why?
Oh, well, why? I'm glad you asked.
I'm not asking, but for our audience, right? Yeah.
You're not going to find anything holy in the club.
You'll find some holes in there.
I mean,
not holy.
Yeah, they're not holy. No, sir. Not sanctified.
Nope.
Not not a waterfall of cleanliness. Let's put it that way. Of sanctity. Of various other things that are good for your soul.
Right.
You're not going to find it there.
No. But that's the thing. We desire to go there. I would say, I'm going to get in trouble. Anyway, the amount of Christian girls that I know that go to the club every weekend, it's like, and they're not going to the Christian club, by the way.
And I already knew that.
And it's like, why? Like what? But like I said, it's something about the atmosphere that draws you to.
I mean, this goes back to our conversation we had the other day when I was talking about evil and the difference between the hero and the villain, and why the villain is so seductive. While everyone wants to be the villain, quote unquote,
like then they also want to be the good.
They also want to be the hero, right? Wow. But it's because the villain embodies our darker desires. The villain embodies power, seduction, other things like authority and power. I think I already said power, but yeah. So just the like a typical villain. For Star Wars fans, that's Darth Vader. Brandon hasn't watched Star Wars, by the way. A disgrace. But wow. But yeah, like Darth Vader, right? He's the epitome of villains, quote unquote. Well, the Emperor. The Emperor is maybe the epitome of villains, but Darth Vader is the seduction of villains. It's the cool cape. It's the black. It's the deep voice. It's the power associated with him, and just the martial prowess and the abilities associated with. Right, that's seductive. You want to be that because you want to have that everything he has in terms of all those benefits. And then the hero, right? We have the reflection of the hero, but then you realize the seduction of the villain is a detriment to your well-being. And that's why you desire the hero, right? You desire the hero to overcome the baser desires of the villain, the baser destruction, the baser evil of the villain, because you really want to overcome that evil inside, that evil reflected within. And that's where the hero comes, right? The hero overcoming the villain, the hero maybe being beat back a little bit, but then he comes back again. He overcomes the villain. He saves the day or whatever it is, right? That we want to be the hero, but we associate with the villain. I feel like the same thing applies to the club or to evil things in general, right? It calls to our baser desire. It calls to our baser instinct. It calls to our baser animal in the inside that we want to let loose, that we want to feed and satiate, So,
but not to the point of,
becoming it, right? So you want to taste it, but you don't want to become it, right? So it's like you want to taste it, what it feels like to be Darth Vader, but you don't want to be him because you see the suffering, you see the damnation, but you want to taste it because of the power.
I can attest to that. I mean, just in my own personal life. I mean, it's like you get so close to the edge, right? And it's like it's like it's like a desire, a weird satanic desire to want to be a bad boy or to live life on the edge, but then either as soon as you do something wrong or you realize that you've overstepped your bounds, then
that you've taken it too far.
Yeah, and that's really the part that is amazing, that we all have that to a certain degree. Like we, some people can control it better than others, but we all want to live life on the edge and kind of nobody wants to be boring, and want to have an exhilarating life, and you want to kind of live this edgy lifestyle. But all that does is that the more you do that, and the closer and closer you get to actually sinning, and then you actually sin, and then it's like you know, and then when you sin, it's like, man, I know I shouldn't have did this, but it's like you couldn't help yourself.
Well, I guess I'm going to stick with the Star Wars theme here.
Yeah.
But well, before I continue, let's see. All right, how do I associate this? So, for Star Wars fans out there, I'll try to. Well, Star Wars fans already know. For non-Star Wars fans, I'll try to explain it as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have the Jedi and the Sith, right? The dark side and the light side. The dark side is, funny enough, like Star Wars is very inspired, I think, by like biblical principles, but and Japanese principles and other kind of good and evil principles. So the dark side is seductive, and it's more powerful than the light side.
Mm.
But it comes at a cost.
Mm-hmm.
It comes at a cost of losing control, of anger and hatred. Anger and hatred feed it, but it also brings a burden to the body and to the spirit. So it deteriorates and it ages you rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So the price of it even changes the color of your eyes. It changes your color. Let's say your color of your eyes is a vibrant blue,
Mm-hmm.
and now it changes it to a sickening yellow red.
Mm. Mm.
So there's a price to pay for the power. There's a price to pay for the seduction of the dark side. It brings with it power, but also brings with it destruction. Not just the destruction of your enemies, but the destruction of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So this is also then reflected in reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a principle of not just Star Wars. This is a principle of reality. And of course, the light side, whatever, goodies, and they do good things, whatever. Forget them for now.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that reflection of reality is the fact. I mean, especially if you associate it with sin in the Bible, is the fact that there's a price to pay for sin.
Right.
Right. It's not free. It's
Mm-hmm.
not without consequence. Just like the Star Wars reference. Power
Mm-hmm.
comes with a consequence. It comes with a price. Your pain and suffering feeds it.
Yeah.
And the pain and suffering of others also feed it. So the further you dive deeper into it, the harder it is for it to be unlatched from you.
Mm. Mm.
But there is redemption.
Mm.
Redemption is possible. But the deeper you dive into the dark side, quote unquote, the harder it is for redemption to take place.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, that's why I think, that scripture we read earlier, right, where it's just best to stay away from the very appearance of evil, because it's like you avoid a lot of headache, I think, when you do that. When you say, okay, hey, I want to stay away from the very appearance of evil. So even a Christian club is like, that looks too much like the real thing.
Yeah.
And
it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So in relation to this, let's go to Deuteronomy 13:6. And this should be in theme with what we just talked about.
I like Deuteronomy 13 for other reasons, but anyway. Let's see. Just for 6?
Yeah, sure.
If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife you embrace, or your friend who is as your own soul entices you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known. Some of the gods of the peoples who are around you, whether near you or far off from you, from the one end of the earth to the other, you shall not yield to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him, nor shall you conceal him, but you shall kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people.
I felt like we read a part of that earlier, but
yeah, we did. Yeah,
we read the later half.
That definitely makes sense now. Sounds exactly what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yes.
Dun dun dun.
You know, I'm good at connecting everything, but
Alex strikes again.
So I'm going to tie this together once again. So those foreign gods, those other gods, that's the enticement and seduction of evil.
Mm-hmm.
That's the club. That's the environment. That's all these things that we idolize for reasons that are not good.
Yeah.
So, just like that scripture says,
mm-hmm.
associating with worshiping these foreign gods, these gods, these idolizations,
right?
What are we to do?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good. And that's how God feels about that. But yeah. Any further words on that part? Brandon's just shaking his head.
I know a few people who would benefit greatly from this podcast episode. You know, hopefully. Even some male friends I have that it's just like, why? Like, why are you doing this? You're married. Yo. You're hanging out with your guy friends or
at the club
covered. Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, man.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a very bad idea. That's dangerous. Like, I can see if you're not married, but if you're married and you're going there, it's just like that's a recipe for ultimate sadness to happen.
But yeah, that's a disaster waiting in the winds right there.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not against fun. I'm not against having a time.
That type of fun.
Yeah. Please no. But yeah, I'm not against good fun. Good things happening. Having a good time with your friends. I'm not against any of that. Hey, I like to have a good time, but I don't.
Like, what did we do? Like a month ago, we went to a guy at the church's house, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Like that was fun, right? No alcohol, no club dark night rooms and lights beaming everywhere. None of that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we have to even look at our definition of fun. Like, well, what is fun to us? You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah, just playing the game was fun.
Yeah, to that point, right? Why is the club associated with fun?
It shouldn't be.
Right. I mean, like, why is that associated with having a good time? Mm-hmm. Why is being blackout drunk associated with having a good time?
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't trying to tell no one's past here, but from stories I've heard from various people, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Right?
It is not.
It's not a good time.
Nope.
So why is it associated with that?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? For one thing, it's brainwashing advertisement from alcohol companies. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. You're just brainwashed to think that it's fun, but it's not. Right. But that's one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also heard this crazy story of someone saying the memory was, I laugh at the memory, but the memory in itself was not good or was not a great time.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm laughing / memorizing the tragedy of my stupidity. And that's fun because of how stupid it was. Mm-hmm. But if you really think about that phrase of thought, that's retarded. Well,
yeah.
I shouldn't say retarded. That's the thing.
But yeah, I know, I get it.
It's whatever. I shouldn't say that particular word for various reasons, but
yeah,
that's stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
That's foolishness.
Yeah.
You know,
nonsense.
Right? Exactly. You know, that's your catchphrase.
Yeah. Yes. I have a catchphrase now. But I remember when I was in the military, like, I mean, guys used, vodka and all types of stuff, and without going to the club. Now, some guys did go to the club. No, I didn't go, but even at the armory, pour a little bit, and one night I remember I don't know what happened. Yeah, the box of wines, man, that dry red wine, whatever that nonsense is, man, I pretty much drank the whole box, and yeah, it was a bad night. But even that is just like, that should have been enough to say, well, I don't want to touch alcohol ever again. But then it's like, people were telling me, oh man, you're not used to drink alcohol, right? So you got to build up your tolerance and all this stuff. And so
that's like saying you have to build up your tolerance to poison, so you're to be more immune to it, so you can then be in poisontosis and be awake while you're poisoning yourself.
Right. And it's just like, no, that's not a good thing. But I remember, like, but there's something about that feeling of you being kind of, loosey goosey. You know what I mean? Like, it's something about that feeling that people liked. Like, I like a good buzz, right? But again, not to the point where I can't drive, or not to the point where I'm like, speaking and slurring my words and all that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with having a slight buzz or having a slight. Alcohol can relax. If you heard that background noise, ignore it. But alcohol can relax the body, right? It could be for medicinal purposes. It could be for various other reasons that are fine. So, like that, like I said, there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol. There's nothing wrong with having a slight buzz. The point is, the reason it's a sin is because pretty much it inebriates you.
You get drunk.
Well, not just because drunkenness is not a sin because it's drunkenness. It's a sin because of what it does to you. It's a sin because of what you do because of it. It's a sin because you no longer have control of yourself.
Which is one of the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah, you no longer have self-control. And because you no longer have self-control, you do and say things of the hidden heart. Right? You do and say things that are... I forget the exact scriptures, but basically it's... If I could paraphrase this in a certain way, it's a loosening of the structures of the order of God. Mm-hmm. That's the best way I can, encompass it. So you being drunk and inebriated and outside that faculty is you giving up basically the control, the self-control, the brain that associates with the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
So it's not a sin because God doesn't want you to be drunk. No, it's a sin because of what you do because of it, and what you say because of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. What an episode. My goodness.
Were you liking this one?
Yeah.
So I have 4 more verses and we'll end it there. So 2 Samuel 1:23. And let me see if I can go to that real fast. Or I guess you got it.
Samuel 1:23. Alrighty. Saul and Jonathan, beloved and lovely, in life and in death, they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions.
So yeah, I have to end this, on a good note. So that is continued loyalty. Mm-hmm. The continued loyalty of friendship.
Yeah.
And the next one, will you have any words for it or thoughts on it?
Um, yeah, I think this just really speaks to, some sort of bond or connection.
Mm-hmm. It's continued loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is John 15:13.
Don't mind if I do. Okay.
You can read 14:15 as well.
Okay. Um, greater love have no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants or, doulos, slaves, for the servant does not know what his master is doing. But I call you friends, for all that I have heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you.
So, this is a classic scripture that has been read many a times in church.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 13 is willingness to sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's what that represents. And 14 and 15 represent the obedient spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to round us off is Philippians 2:19 through 23. Wow.
Is it a 2?
Yes. 19 through 23.
All right. Like this, okay? I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, that I too may be cheered by news of you. For I have no one like him who will be genuinely concerned for your welfare. For they all seek their own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. But you know Timothy's proven worth, how as a son with a father he has served with me in the gospel. I hope, therefore, to send him just as soon as I know, just as soon as I see how it will go with me. And I trust in the Lord that shortly I myself will come also.
So this is the friendship of like-mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that encompasses true friendship.
Mm-hmm.
It's thinking the same, valuing the same things, and willing to stick up for those things.
Yeah. And Timothy, you see this again in the pastoral epistles that Paul writes, First and Second Timothy. He's writing to Timothy, and he's encouraging him, and he mentions there that Timothy's like a son to him, right? So it's almost like there's
I think that's 2 Timothy 1 through 2.
yeah, there you go, yeah, and so he's encouraging him, because Timothy's kind of a timid guy, but yeah, he's saying, hey, remember all that I've taught you, right? Timothy was alongside him, with his persecutions Paul had, and so he's literally grown up in the faith, and so that to me just, I mean, yeah, that's I kind of look at it a father son, spiritual
I mean,
father son
it could be the
relationship.
mentorship friendship.
Yeah. I was thinking something like that too, but I would say even above that, where he calls him his son.
Well, there's also a time where the mentorship evolves from a son into like an associate and a disciple, right?
Mhm.
So that evolution of relationship and friendship is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, indeed.
So, I actually have 4 other verses, but this has been long enough. So, I think this is a good place to end it. Any other words?
No, well done, sir. Well done. Alex wanted to talk about this, and I am all the more richer this good word and biblical study and what friendship is. True friendship, by the way. My goodness. Yeah, and that that's the 5 degrees of friendship. I think that would be something wise for all of us to implement. Have something of a scale like that where we're not just saying everybody's our friend, like that's silly, but just kind of knowing who your people fall into those specific categories, so you're not falling into what James chapter 4 talks about.
Yeah.
And not going to clubs. I know people over here that say like, I ain't going to no club no more.
I don't know.
Or they might go just to say, you don't tell us to do.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just not a good idea. That's all.
It isn't a good idea. But I'm inclined to believe that people are still going to do it anyway, whether they hear this or not. Yeah. So it's just like, I mean, I don't encourage that. I hope you don't.
Yeah.
For people listening.
Yeah.
I hope you don't.
Nothing good's found there. It's even if somebody was giving you $1 million to go, like I still wouldn't go because it's like the risk and the danger and the demonic. Man, this would have been a good one to have Serena on here because she's.
Oh well, speaking of which.
Oh yes.
Because you brought that up. We're going to tie this into our episode with Serena, and we're going to tie this. I'm going to leave a taste of it.
Oh my.
With this story I have for you today. So, I'll end it with this. I wanted to end it on a good note, but I'll end it with this. I one time heard a story, or an example of guardian angels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, so this is, dive into the spiritual side of things, which I'm sure some people will love.
Mm-hmm.
When we assume that our guardian angels follow us everywhere,
mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you right here and right now that it's not the case. There are some places where they will not follow you. And those places are the domains of principalities and great evils.
Mm.
And some of those places are the club.
Wow.
Here to tell you now, people, your guardian angel might not follow you into a club. Well, I can almost guarantee that they probably won't. Because you're basically surrendering yourself to the territory of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the epitome of foolishness. To surrender that's like, if I had to give a good example, or Brandon should appreciate this, that's like walking into enemy lines on the battlefield and expecting not to get shot.
Yeah. That is silly.
Do you expect your commanding officer to follow you there?
No.
And then protect you?
Anybody with a brain, anyway.
Right. So that's the byplay we're having here. Do you expect your guardian angel to follow you into enemy lines and to protect you from being outnumbered 10-1?
Mm-mm. Well, that's a suicide mission right there.
There you go. So, a word of wisdom. You might just be leaving your protection on the wayside by walking into places you shouldn't be. And I'll end it there. Brandy. Wow. So that's a teaser for our episode with Serena, where we will be diving deeper into demonic things and things and places you probably shouldn't go.
Dun, dun, dun.
And not just that, but demonic attacks, demonic apparitions, spiritual apparitions, whatever you want to call it, wizards, witches, so on and so forth. Look forward to it, people. Ooh. We're going to be diving into the evil side of things. And
for instructional purposes.
Yeah, of course. So you can avoid them.
Yeah.
And look out for your spiritual well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully you take it to heart. And with that, Any last words, Brandon?
I feel like people are on the edge of their seat, man. They're like, we want this episode now. I'm like, hey, bro, it's coming. Just wait for it. But yeah, I can't wait. Because I'm kind of just curious as to her knowledge and expertise. Since that's an area that I'm, kind of learning with. But yeah, I think you were telling me about it before.
Oh yeah,
just like certain places that guardian angel won't follow you in. Now I know people are going to be like, God's with this all the time. Yes, this is true. When it comes to your discernment, right? It's just like some things you're just, you might as well just leave it at the door when you walk into certain places.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think club is probably one of the number one places that if you're a Christian, right? Now, if you're not a Christian, then I think this still would apply to people who aren't Christians, but people especially who are Christians, it's like, you shouldn't be there. And so by you going there, you're willing to assume all risks
and responsibility for
happens.
anything that happens.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Ain't gonna be on God. That's for sure.
Nope. I said no. Wow. This is... Yeah, I can't wait for that episode. That's going to be good.
All right. Well, you heard it, folks. Brandon is on the edge of his seat.
Mm-hmm.
And
literally.
with that, we'll end this interesting episode of the Church Bros podcast with a contemplated Brandon and a
on the edge of his seat
and a excited Alex. We'll see you next time on the Church Bros podcast.
All right.